Get off that bench now! The security guard's voice boomed across the food court, silencing everyone nearby. Shoppers froze, bags dangling from shocked hands. Eleanor Whitman, 81 years old and barely 5 feet tall, gripped her wooden cane so hard her knuckles turned white. She hadn't done anything wrong, just sat down for a moment to catch her breath. I don't understand, she whispered, her voice trembling like autumn leaves. The security guard, tall, muscular, with a buzz cut and mirrored sunglasses, towered over her. This area is for paying customers only. He pointed to a tiny sign. Can't you read? Phones came out. People started recording. A child began to cry. Eleanor tried to stand, but her arthritic hip betrayed her. She stumbled, nearly falling. Need some help leaving? The guard grabbed her arm, hard. Eleanor gasped. The shopping bag she'd been clutching, a small gift for her great-granddaughter, spilled onto the floor. A music box shattered. My husband built this mall, she said so quietly almost no one heard. 40 years ago. The guard snorted. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. Then it happened. A door slammed. Footsteps clicked rapidly across marble floors. Release her arm this instant. The crowd parted like the Red Sea as Sarah Chen, the mall's general manager, stormed toward them, her face a mask of fury. In her hand was something gold and shining, a card no regular shopper had ever seen. The security guard's face was drained of colour. He knew that voice. He knew that card. And he knew he had just made the biggest mistake of his career. Sarah Chen guided Eleanor through a door marked Staff Only. The security guard watched, mouth hanging open as they disappeared from view. I am so sorry about that, Mrs. Whitman, Sarah said, her voice gentle now. Dale is new. He doesn't know who you are. Eleanor's hand still trembled. No one knows who I am anymore, dear. That's what happens when you get old. You become invisible. They entered a room Eleanor had never seen before. Plush leather chairs, soft lighting, a small fountain bubbling in the corner. A private lounge. Please sit. Sarah helped her into the most comfortable chair. I'll get you some tea. While Sarah busied herself at a small kitchenette, Eleanor opened her purse. Among tissues and hard candies was a worn photograph, a handsome young man in a suit standing in front of a construction site. The frame was inscribed, Robert Whitman, Westfield Mall Groundbreaking, 1978. Sarah returned with tea. My grandfather told me about you, about everything you did. Eleanor smiled sadly. Your grandfather had a good memory then. He said you were the best nurse Westfield Hospital ever had, that you saved more lives than anyone could count. Eleanor waved her hand dismissively, just doing my job. Including his life when he had that heart attack in '72? Eleanor nodded. I remember that night. He was so young. And then your husband Robert built this mall, creating thousands of jobs. Sarah sat across from Eleanor. Grandfather said Robert built that bench in the food court specially for you. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. Every Tuesday we'd meet there for lunch, for 23 years until... Her voice trailed off. Until he passed, Sarah finished softly. Eleanor nodded. Heart attack, right there on that same bench, 10 years ago today. Sarah reached for Eleanor's hand. And you've come every Tuesday since. It feels like he's still with me there. Eleanor pulled out a small stack of gift cards from her purse. Robert always believed in random acts of kindness, so every Tuesday I put $5 coffee cards on windshields in the parking lot. Just a small thing to make someone smile. Sarah smiled. Not so small to the people who find them. Eleanor's face darkened suddenly. I won't be doing it much longer, I'm afraid. Why not? Eleanor handed Sarah a folded paper from her purse. A medical report. Sarah scanned it, her eyes widening. Stage 4? Oh, Mrs. Whitman. 3 months, maybe 4. Eleanor straightened her shoulders. I've had a good life, but I wanted to keep coming here as long as I could. to be close to Robert. Sarah wiped a tear away. And that guard threw you off the bench. He didn't know. He should have shown basic human decency, Sarah snapped. Then, more gently, I have something to show you. She helped Eleanor up and led her to a small security room. Monitors showed different areas of the mall. Sarah pointed to one showing the food court. Watch. On screen, Eleanor's empty bench sat alone. Then a young woman approached. She placed flowers on it, touched the seat gently, and walked away. Minutes later, an elderly man did the same thing. Then a group of teenagers, all leaving small tokens. I don't understand, Eleanor whispered. That bench hasn't just been yours all these years. Sarah pulled up another screen on her computer. Look. A social media page filled the screen. Robert's bench. Thousands of members, hundreds of posts. After your husband died there, the story spread. People started seeing it as a place to remember their own loved ones. Every Tuesday, the day he died, people leave mementos. Eleanor covered her mouth. I never knew. The mall cleaning staff collects everything each night. Look. Sarah opened a cabinet filled with dried flowers, notes, and small toys. We've saved everything. But why didn't anyone tell me? They thought you knew. You were always there on Tuesdays. They thought you were part of it, the guardian of the memorial. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. All this time, Sarah nodded. You weren't sitting alone, Mrs. Whitman. You were sitting with hundreds of people who found comfort in the same spot. Eleanor pulled out another photo from her purse, Robert holding a baby. This was taken right before he died. That's our grandson. He never got to see him grow up. Sarah studied the photo, her expression changing. Mrs. Whitman, that baby. A knock at the door interrupted them. The security guard, Dale, stood nervously in the doorway. Ms. Chen, the regional manager is on line 1. He says it's urgent. Sarah sighed. I need to take this. She handed Eleanor the golden VIP card. This gives you access to this lounge any time, and to any store in the mall, on the house. As Sarah stepped out, Eleanor noticed Dale staring at her photo of Robert and the baby. Something wrong, young man? Eleanor asked. Dale's face had gone pale. That baby in the picture, he whispered. I think that's me. Dale stood frozen, staring at the photograph in Eleanor's trembling hands. That baby, that's my father's watch. He pointed to a distinctive gold timepiece on Robert's wrist. I have it at home. My grandmother gave it to me when Dad died. Eleanor's eyes widened. Your father? Who was your father? Michael Whitman, Dale's voice cracked. He died 3 years ago, car accident. Eleanor gasped, pressing her hand against her chest. Michael was my grandson, Robert's pride and joy. They stared at each other, the security guard and the elderly woman he'd just humiliated in public great-grandmother and great-grandson, meeting for the first time. I never knew my great-grandparents, Dale whispered. Dad said they died before I was born. Robert died, Eleanor corrected gently. I'm very much alive, though your father and we lost touch after some family disagreements. Dale sank into a chair, removing his security cap and sunglasses. Without them, his face softened, and Eleanor could see Robert's eyes staring back at her. I can't believe I just... Dale buried his face in his hands. I'm so sorry. Eleanor reached out, touching his shoulder. Why were you so harsh out there? That's not how our family treats people. Dale's shoulders slumped. I got written up twice this week already. My boss said one more complaint, and I'm done. He pulled out his phone, showing Eleanor a picture of a small boy in a hospital bed. That's my son, Jamie. 6 years old and fighting leukemia. Eleanor studied the photo. He has Robert's chin. After my wife left, it's just me and him. 3 jobs to pay the medical bills. This mall gig was supposed to be the steady one. Dale wiped his eyes roughly. I can't lose it. Jamie's treatment. So you enforce every tiny rule? Dale nodded miserably. The regional manager has been pushing us to clear loiterers. Says they hurt the shopping experience. Loiterers like me, Eleanor said quietly. I didn't know about any of it. The bench, who you were. Dale looked up suddenly. Wait, you said Robert died 10 years ago, but I'm 29. How could that be me as a baby in that photo? Eleanor studied the picture again. This isn't you, Dale. This is your father. Robert died the day this picture was taken. He was holding Michael, your father who was just 3 months old then. So my dad never really knew his grandfather either. No. But Robert loved him so much. Eleanor's voice grew distant. We'd had a falling out with our daughter, your grandmother, over her choice of husband. Stubborn pride kept us apart for years. We had just reconciled when Robert died. The door opened and Sarah returned, her face grim. I just got off the phone with Regional. Someone posted a video of what happened in the food court. She held up her phone, showing a video with already 50,000 views. The title, Heartless Mall Cop Kicks Elderly Woman Off Bench. Dale's face drained of colour. I'm fired, aren't I? Sarah hesitated. They want to make an example of you. The comment section is brutal. I need this job, Dale whispered, desperation in his voice. There's more, Sarah continued. Corporate has been planning to renovate the mall. They're removing all the public seating areas to make room for more stores, including Robert's bench, Eleanor finished. Sarah nodded. The regional manager is driving over right now to handle the PR disaster, and to personally apologise to you, Mrs. Whitman. She glanced at Dale. And to fire you on the spot. Dale stood shakily. I should clean up my locker. Wait! Eleanor grabbed his hand. You're Robert's great-grandson, my great-grandson. She turned to Sarah. We have to do something. Sarah frowned. What can we do? Corporate has already... Young lady, Eleanor interrupted, her voice suddenly strong. My husband built this mall when your grandfather was still learning to tie his shoes. I've sat on that bench every Tuesday for 33 years. And I just found out I have a great-grandson and a great-great-grandson I never knew existed. She stood, leaning on her cane but somehow seeming taller. This family has already lost too much time to pride and misunderstandings. She picked up the golden VIP card. You said this gives me access to anything in the mall. Sarah nodded, confused. Yes, but then I need to make a phone call. And I need access to the mall's announcement system. Mrs. Whitman, I don't think... Sarah, Eleanor said firmly. Your grandfather once told me I saved his life. Now I'm asking you to help me save my family and that bench. Will you help? Before Sarah could answer, the door burst open. A man in an expensive suit stormed in, his face red with anger. Where is the security guard from that video? He demanded. And where is this Mrs. Whitman? Corporate wants this handled now. Eleanor smiled sweetly. That would be me, young man, and we need to talk about my husband's bench. Richard Hargrove. The regional manager extended his hand to Eleanor, ignoring Dale completely. On behalf of Westfield Properties, I want to personally apologise for this unfortunate incident. Eleanor did not take his hand. Is it your policy to treat seniors like criminals, Mr. Hargrove? Richard's smile tightened. Of course not, which is why the employee responsible will be terminated immediately. He shot a cold glance at Dale. That employee is my great-grandson, Eleanor said, though I just discovered that fact 5 minutes ago. Richard blinked, momentarily thrown off script. That's unfortunate, but it doesn't change company policy. The video has over 100,000 views now. We need to take decisive action. Sarah stepped forward. Mr. Hargrove, perhaps we could discuss this privately. There's nothing to discuss. Richard checked his watch. I've already drafted a press release announcing his termination and our donation to a senior citizens' charity. Buying good publicity, Eleanor muttered. Richard ignored her. And the renovation plans are moving forward. The construction crew arrives Monday to remove all the old seating areas. Including Robert's bench, Sarah asked quietly. Especially that old bench. The food court redesign is our centerpiece. Modern, sleek, no places for non-customers to loiter. He smiled at Eleanor. Though, of course, with your family connection, you'd be welcome any time. Eleanor's eyes flashed. That bench isn't just a piece of furniture, young man. Mrs. Whitman, with all due respect, it's a 20-year-old bench. 10, Eleanor corrected. Robert had it custom-made for our 40th anniversary, 3 months before he died. Sarah pulled out her phone. Mr. Hargrove, you need to see this. She showed him the Robert's Bench social media page. This bench has become a memorial for hundreds of people. They come every Tuesday to remember loved ones. Richard scrolled quickly, unimpressed. Touching, but it doesn't generate revenue. The board wants a 15% increase in food court sales this quarter. Sarah took a deep breath. Then I need to show you something else. She walked to a filing cabinet, unlocked it, and removed a thick folder. I was going to present this at next month's regional meeting, but now it seems appropriate. She laid out a series of documents on the table. Market research, customer surveys, and foot traffic analysis, all pointing to one conclusion. People don't come to malls just to shop anymore. They come for experiences. Richard frowned. We know this. That's why we're adding the virtual reality arcade. But you're missing what's already working. Sarah pointed to a heat map of the mall. This spot, Robert's Bench, has the highest consistent foot traffic outside of major stores. Every Tuesday, it draws hundreds of people who then shop and eat. Dale, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. The Tuesday sales numbers. Sarah nodded. Exactly. Food court sales are 22% higher on Tuesdays than any other weekday. Richard shook his head. Correlation doesn't prove causation. My grandfather told me about this place before he died, Sarah said quietly. He was the contractor who helped Robert Whitman install that bench. He made me promise to protect it if I ever had the chance. She pulled out another document, old, yellowed. This is the original mall blueprint, signed by Robert Whitman. There's a note here about the bench. She handed it to Eleanor. Eleanor read aloud, a place to rest, to remember, to reconnect. The heart of any community is where people gather. This isn't just about a bench, Sarah continued. It's about what makes this mall different from online shopping. Human connection. The door opened and a security guard poked his head in. Ms. Chen, there's, a situation in the food court you should see. They all followed him to the security room. On the monitors, they could see the food court filing with people. Dozens, then hundreds. Many carried flowers or small mementos. What's happening? Richard demanded. The security guard pointed to another screen showing the mall's social media accounts. Someone posted about Robert's bench being removed. It's gone viral. People are coming to say goodbye. Eleanor turned to Richard. You see, young man? That bench isn't just wood and metal. It's a piece of people's hearts. Sarah stepped closer to Richard. I have an alternative proposal. She pulled out another folder. Instead of removing the bench, we created Robert's Corner. We expand it, add more seating, and officially recognize it as a community memorial space. With a coffee kiosk right beside it, Dale added. Exclusive Robert's blend for visitors, limited edition cups with the story on them. Sarah's eyes lit up. Merchandise opportunities, social media campaigns, share your memory promotions. Richard looked at the growing crowd on the monitor. This wasn't in the renovation plans. Plans change, Sarah said, sometimes for the better. Eleanor touched Richard's arm. Young man, my husband built this mall because he believed business should serve the community, not just profit from it. Don't tear down his legacy. Build on it. Richard's phone buzzed. He looked down at it and paled. Corporate is calling. The video has reached 1 million views. What are you going to tell them? Sarah asked. Richard looked from the phone to the monitors, to Dale, to Eleanor, and finally to Sarah. He took a deep breath. I'm going to tell them we have a better idea. Richard's plan was simple. Use Eleanor as the face of the mall's new community initiative. A few photos, a prepared statement, and the PR nightmare would transform into a marketing opportunity. But Eleanor Whitman had other ideas. "I want to address them myself," she insisted as they approached the food court. The crowd had swelled to over 300 people, many holding phones aloft, live streaming. "Mrs. Whitman," Richard whispered urgently, "we've prepared a statement that covers all the key points." "Young man," Eleanor cut him off, "I've been speaking my mind for 81 years. I'm not about to stop now." Dale pushed through the security barrier they'd established, helping Eleanor toward Robert's bench. The crowd parted, murmuring when they recognized her from the viral video. Sarah followed close behind, while Richard hung back, nervously checking his phone as corporate executives bombarded him with messages. When Eleanor reached the bench, she paused. Someone had covered it with flowers and handwritten notes, a makeshift shrine. She lowered herself onto it and gestured for Sale to sit beside her. After a moment's hesitation, he did. "My name is Eleanor Whitman," she began, her voice surprisingly strong. "This bench was created by my late husband, Robert." The crowd quieted immediately. "Today, something unexpected happened. I was asked to leave this bench by this young man." She patted Dale's arm. "What none of us knew was that he is my great-grandson." Gasps rippled through the audience. Life is full of these moments, these collisions of past and present, of strangers discovering their family. Eleanor reached into her purse and pulled out a small worn key. This was Robert's. It opens something in this mall that hasn't been opened in 10 years. She turned to Sarah. "Your grandfather would know." Recognition dawned on Sarah's face. "The time capsule." Eleanor nodded. "Robert buried a time capsule beneath this bench the day it was installed. It was meant to be opened on our 50th wedding anniversary." Her voice caught. "He didn't live to see that day." Sarah stepped forward. "My grandfather told me about it before he died. He said Mr. Whitman put something valuable inside. Something that would secure the mall's future." Richard pushed through the crowd. "What are you talking about? There's nothing in the mall plans about a time capsule." "Because it wasn't official," Eleanor explained. "Just Robert being Robert, always thinking ahead." Dale knelt down, examining the bench's base. "There's a small panel here. I never noticed it before." As security kept the crowd back, Dale and a maintenance worker carefully removed the panel, revealing a small metal box. Eleanor's hands trembled as she inserted the key. Inside lay an envelope, a small velvet pouch and a USB drive that looked ancient by today's standards. "The deed," Eleanor whispered, opening the envelope first. "Robert put the deed here." Richard leaned forward. "The deed to what?" "The mall belongs to Westfield Properties." "Not all of it." Eleanor handed him the document. "Robert retained ownership of the Central Plaza and food court. He leased it to the mall for 50 years for $1. Richard scanned the document, his face paling. "This can't be legal. Our corporate records show—" "Check with your legal department," Eleanor suggested. "Robert always believed the heart of the mall should remain in the family's control." Richard stepped away, frantically calling his phone. Dale opened the velvet pouch next, revealing Robert's watch identical to the one in the photo. "He left his watch here, but I have it at home." "That's a replica," Eleanor explained. "Robert had two made. He wore one and put the other here, along with—" Sarah had managed to connect the USB drive to her tablet. "It's a video file." The crowd pressed closer as Sarah's tablet displayed Robert Whitman's face. Though the video quality was poor by today's standards, his warm smile shone through. "Hello, Ellie," the recording began. "If you're watching this, we've made it to 50 years. Or," he paused, his expression sobering, "I'm no longer with you, and you've found this anyway." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. "I've put the deed to the food court in this box. Our family should always have a say in how this space is used. This is where people come together, not just to eat, but to share their lives." The video continued, Robert's voice growing passionate. "Malls aren't just for shopping. They're town squares, meeting places, where a community becomes a family." Then came the words that silenced everyone. "If they ever try to remove this bench or change this space from what it was meant to be, a place for everyone, the lease terminates immediately." Richard returned, his face ashen. "Our lawyers confirmed it. The lease expires in 2 weeks, on what would have been your 50th anniversary. Which means," Eleanor said quietly, "this space belongs to me now. Or rather," she turned to Dale, To my family. Dale looked stunned. What are you saying? I'm saying, Eleanor smiled, reaching for his hand, that you're not losing a job today. You're gaining a legacy. Sarah stepped forward. What are you planning to do with this space, Mrs. Whitman? Eleanor surveyed the crowd, young and old, all backgrounds, all united by this unexpected moment. Something Robert would have wanted. She squeezed Dale's hand. Something that brings people together. By nightfall, Robert's bench was trending nationwide. The original confrontation video had reached 15 million views, but now it was the follow-up videos capturing Eleanor's revelation and the time capsule discovery that were breaking the internet. News vans lined the mall parking lot as Eleanor, Dale and Sarah emerged from a lengthy meeting with Richard and Westfield's hastily assembled crisis management team. Grandma, Dale said, still getting used to the word. Are you sure about this? It's a lot of responsibility. Eleanor patted his hand. I've waited 10 years to fulfill Robert's vision. I don't plan to wait any longer. Sarah's phone buzzed continuously. Mrs. Whitman, Good Morning America wants you tomorrow. So does Ellen. And The View. Everyone wants this story. Let them wait, Eleanor replied. First, we have work to do. Inside, the mall remained open well past closing time. Hundreds still gathered around Robert's bench, leaving flowers, sharing stories. Security had given up trying to move them along. A young woman approached Eleanor tentatively. Excuse me, my mother came to this bench every Tuesday after my father died overseas. She said it gave her peace. What's your name, dear? Eleanor asked. Jennifer Lopez. She laughed at Eleanor's expression. Not that one, just an ordinary Jennifer Lopez who found comfort here. There's nothing ordinary about finding comfort, Jennifer, Eleanor said, or giving it. Jennifer handed Eleanor a business card. I run a small architecture firm. If you're really redesigning this space, I'd like to help. Pro bono. Dale watched in amazement as person after person approached Eleanor, a florist, offering arrangements, a carpenter volunteering to build new benches, a tech company CEO promising free Wi-Fi for the space. It's like watching a miracle, he murmured to Sarah. People want to be part of something meaningful, Sarah replied. Your great-grandfather understood that. Richard returned, looking both exhausted and strangely energized. Corporate is adapting to the situation. They're prepared to negotiate a new lease, with certain conditions. I'll bet they are, Eleanor said dryly. They want naming rights, revenue sharing for any commercial activities and… No, Eleanor interrupted. This space will be called Robert's Corner, as it should have been all along, and all profits go to children's cancer research. Dale looked at her sharply. How did you… I saw Jamie's medical bills on your phone, Eleanor said gently. My husband would have wanted to help his great-great-grandson. Richard cleared his throat. Mrs. Whitman, with all due respect, this is still a business. Indeed it is. And I'm offering Westfield Properties something priceless. Authenticity. Eleanor's eyes twinkled. Your marketing people should understand the value of that. By midnight, the mall finally emptied, except for Eleanor, Dale, Sarah, and a team of volunteers who worked through the night. Painters refreshed walls, carpenters built new seating around Robert's original bench, and tech workers installed digital memorial screens where visitors could share stories. At dawn, Sarah found Eleanor dozing in a chair, watching the sunrise through the mall's skylight. You should get some rest, Sarah said. Big day ahead. I've rested enough these past 10 years, Eleanor replied. Sitting on that bench, not knowing what Robert had planned, not knowing I had family right here all along. Sarah hesitated. There's something I haven't told you about why I had that VIP card ready. I wondered about that. Sarah pulled out her phone, showing Eleanor an email dated 1 month earlier. I recognized your name when you started coming to the mall more frequently. I looked into your history and found out about Robert, about the bench. You were watching for me. Sarah nodded. My grandfather made me. Promised to look out for you. He said Robert had been like a father to him. Thomas Chen, Eleanor whispered. He was Robert's first hire when the mall opened. Brilliant young man. He never forgot your kindness, or how you saved his life. Sarah swallowed hard. I've had that VIP card in my desk since my first day as GM, waiting for the right moment to give it to you. Before Eleanor could respond, her phone rang, the new one Dale had bought her yesterday after discovering she was using a flip phone from 2010. Hello? Her eyes widened. Yes, this is her. The president wants to know what? She covered the phone. It's the White House. They want me to lead a national initiative on community spaces. Dale rushed over. The President of the United States? Eleanor waved him away, speaking confidently into the phone. Yes, I'd be honored, but I'll need to bring my great-grandson and the mall's general manager. They're essential to this story. As morning light filled the atrium, the first visitors arrived, gasping at the transformation. At the center, Robert's bench stood polished and proud, with a simple bronze plaque. A place to rest, to remember, to reconnect, where strangers become family. The mall bustled with afternoon shoppers, but a respectful hush fell over the crowd as Eleanor Whitman made her way through the main entrance, leaning on her cane. At 81, each step remained a challenge, but today she walked with a new sense of purpose. "Grandma Eleanor!" a small voice called out. 6-year-old Jamie, Dale's son, raced toward her. His baseball cap couldn't hide his growing fuzz of new hair, the first sign of his recovery. "Easy there, champ," Dale said, following close behind in his new uniform. No longer a security guard black, but a warm blue blazer with community director embroidered on the pocket. "Remember what the doctor said about running." Eleanor bent to hug Jamie. "How are you feeling today, brave one?" "Good," Jamie beamed. "The doctors say the cancer is sleeping now." "In remission," Dale clarified, his eyes shining with grateful tears. The experimental treatment fully funded by the Robert Whitman Memorial Foundation had worked better than anyone dared hope. Eleanor nodded. "Robert would be so proud of your fighting spirit." Together they walked toward the heart of the mall, now transformed beyond recognition. Where once a single bench stood alone, Robert's Corner now sprawled across the entire central plaza. The original bench remained at its center, but surrounding it were comfortable seating areas, digital memorial screens, a small cafe, and a children's play area. Sarah Chen waited for them by the information kiosk, now staffed by seniors from the local retirement community, part of the mall's new Wisdom Workers program. "Mrs. Whitman," Sarah greeted her warmly, "right on time for the ceremony." "I've never been late a day in my life," Eleanor replied with a wink. "How are the numbers?" Sarah's face lit up. "Foot traffic is up 42% since we opened Robert's Corner. The Memorial Wall app has over 2 million downloads, and 17 malls across the country have licensed our community space model." Eleanor nodded with satisfaction. "And Richard?" "Promoted to national operations," Sarah said. Turns out embracing community-centered retail spaces made him quite the corporate star. A crowd gathered as Eleanor took her seat on Robert's bench, of course. News cameras positioned themselves discreetly. After the initial media frenzy, Eleanor had given just one interview to a local high school student for her journalism class. That authentic 15-minute video had ultimately reached more viewers than all the major networks combined. The mall's sound system chimed softly, and Sarah stepped up to the microphone. "3 months ago, a moment of unkindness went viral," she began. "Today, we celebrate how that moment transformed into something beautiful." The crowd applauded as Sarah unveiled a large display showing photos of the new Robert's Corners opening across America. Shopping centers from Seattle to Miami had adopted the concept, creating spaces where commerce and community coexisted. "And now," Sarah continued, "it gives me great pleasure to introduce the woman who started it all, not by seeking attention, but by simply honoring a promise to her husband, Eleanor Whitman." The applause was thunderous as Dale helped Eleanor to the microphone. "Thank you," Eleanor said simply. "When my Robert built this mall, he told me, buildings are just buildings, Ellie. It's the people inside them that matter." She paused, looking at the faces before her. 3 months ago, I was given terrible news. The doctors said I had 3, maybe 4 months to live." A hush fell over the crowd. "Well, today marks 3 months, and I'm still here." Jamie slipped his small hand into hers. "Yesterday I had new tests," Eleanor continued. "The doctors can't explain it, but the cancer has stopped growing." She smiled. "I'm not saying it's a miracle, But finding my great-grandson, meeting my great-great-grandson, seeing Robert's vision come to life, if that's not healing, I don't know what is. Dale stepped forward, visibly emotional. My great-grandmother taught me something these past months. She taught me that rules matter less than people, that kindness isn't weakness, it's strength. Eleanor gazed at the crowd, then at the bench where she had sat every Tuesday for a decade. I used to come here because I was lonely, she admitted, because sitting here made me feel close to Robert. Now I come because I'm surrounded by family, both the family I was born into and the family we've all created together. Sarah unveiled the final addition to Robert's Corner, a life-sized bronze statue of a man and woman sitting on a bench, with space between them for real visitors to sit. Robert and I never had our 50th anniversary, Eleanor said, touching the bronze hand of her husband's likeness. But today, this mall, this community, is celebrating a new beginning. She sat down between the statues and Jamie climbed onto her lap. Dale and Sarah sat on either side. This, Eleanor said, is what Robert meant when he wrote about a place to rest, to remember, and to reconnect. Not just a bench, not just a mall, but a home for all of us. As the sun streamed through the skylight above, casting a golden glow over Robert's Corner, Eleanor closed her eyes and smiled. For the first time in 10 years, she felt completely at peace.